And you've mentioned a lot about the ultra processed food, and I feel like we've teetered around the edge of it. So let's dive right into it. What's your view on ultra processed foods? Firstly, I'd love you to just list some of the ones that we wouldn't really know about. You did a video on soy sauce, and I was like, oh my gosh. And yeah, just tell me about it. Like,
Yeah,
what do you think?
people are very angry about the soy sauce video. They don't like to be told that, and fair enough, but then just, scroll on if that's not what you want. But, you know, so ultra processed foods, for people who don't know, they are there's not really an official definition, but a scientist in Brazil, Carlos Monteiro, discovered them with like a team of researchers and started to like look into it, and then they came up with this food classification system. So there's whole foods, which is like an apple, and then there's like culinary ingredients, which would be like olive oil. Then there's processed foods, which would be like yogurt, or cheese. And then there's ultra processed foods, which are like chicken nuggets, and I'm talking chicken nuggets that are like, you don't know what's in these. Like they have like long lists of ingredients, normally anything over kind of 5 ingredients. They have like ingredients that you wouldn't be able to buy in the shop or make yourself. You would never be able to replicate this in your kitchen with those exact ingredients because they're very, very chemically manufactured. Um, Sometimes they'll have misleading health claims, so like high in protein, a source of vitamin D. These are all there to distract you. That's marketing. And they're just really chemically soft. Like they're so processed that, like I said, like your body absorbs them really quickly. There isn't that much nutritional benefit to them. And we're speaking broadly here because we can talk about protein powders and things like that. And I was listening to one of your podcasts where you were talking about like protein powders. But they just, I'm not saying that you should never have them. Like there, but there's just these little swaps that you can make, and like the soy sauce was one of them. So I've showed these soy sauces, and one of them was like water, sugar, soy sauce extract, antioxidants, preservatives. And the reason for that is they've taken the real soy sauce, which is made with water, salt, wheat, soybeans. They've taken that, then watered it down further. Then it doesn't taste good. So they have to add more salt, they have to add more sugar. And then it's not shelf stable because it's no longer a fermented product. So then they have to add the preservatives in. Whereas you could get the Kikkoman, I think it was, the soy sauce, which was just water, salt, soybeans, and wheat. And that was it. And it was a fermented product. It didn't need the preservatives. That was all that was in it. So basically, they're taking the Kikkoman product, watering it down, and then altering it because it doesn't taste good anymore. So that, like, there's like Philadelphia, like soft cheese has like carrageenan in, which is just, I think a recent studies just come out linking it to like certain types of cancer. And obviously, like, nutritional studies are just like, you cannot get a study for everything on nutrition. They're really hard to do, they're hard to replicate, they're expensive. And the people who can pay for them tend to be the companies who are making the products. And when a study is done that is funded by a company that's making a certain product that's being studied, they're 7 times more likely to produce a favorable result. So again, you can't even really trust the stuff out there. But you can get like Tesco soft cheese, like the own brand or whatever, and it doesn't have anything else in it. It's just like soft cheese, and that's all it is. Plant milks are a big one. I, fell for the vegan meats are a better alternative for you than actual meat. But they're full of like maltodextrin. And again, speaking generally, like the majority of the ones on the shelves are full of like different preservatives, colorants, flavorings, like all of this stuff that we just don't know what is in it. But you can still, like, there's plant milks. I actually prefer plant milk to milk. I've never really liked milk. So I'll have Plenish, which is just like cashews, water, and salt, as opposed to like something that has like gums and emulsifiers and things like that in. And none of these things are put in for our benefit. They're put in for the benefit of the manufacturer so that they can keep them on the shelves for longer, make more money out of them. And like they also make them, they can be quite addictive, like the mouthfeel, the flavors, the way that they like react to the dopamine pathways in the brains. They make you want to eat more and more. And there's neuroscientists working for these companies that are figuring out what is the exact amount of dust on a Dorito, the dust flavoring, that makes them eat the whole bag. Like what's going to keep people lighting up as much as possible. So then again, it comes back to the whole calorie counting thing. If that's what you're eating and you're saying, okay, I'm going to have like 80 calories of these Doritos or whatever. Like your brain, these are manufactured to make you eat as much as possible. So you have to have some either really sheerly strong willpower, or you should just stop eating them and just go for something else. But like, I'm not saying it's completely out of people's control, but they don't know what's happening to them.
Mhm.
And it's really insidious. Like there's some really good documentaries on it for people. Like there's one um the BBC did recently, Why We Can't Stop Eating, really good. The book Ultra Processed People, really interesting. And it's just the tactics that they use. You can't believe that they get away with it. Really.
It's hard, you know, like you're saying about the different types of soft cheese, and it's literally the same product, yet one of them, the cheaper one, is less processed. And it's when you kind of put it like that, you think, gosh, well, I don't have time to stand in the supermarket and look at all the different ingredients. It's really difficult to know, and that's one thing. Okay, now we know if we're buying soft cheese, we know what one to go to, you know. But then we go on to the next thing, yogurt, like high protein yogurts or whatever in the little tubs. Are they just full of rubbish? Do they even have protein in them? Like that's something that's like sprung to my mind. It's really difficult in this way because you're kind of
Yeah.
trying to make, okay, the protein choices, the healthy choices, you know, maybe I'll get yogurt instead of ice cream or whatever people might have in their mental kind of viewpoint on it. But it's quite confusing when you kind of say that. But actually when we say, well, if it's come from the ground, as you said, a bag of carrots is not going to be ultra processed because it's literally been grown from the ground. And let's
Yeah.
give it a good scrub before we eat them. But that's a good way of doing it. And then it gets a bit murky, I think, in the middle ground part. But just
Yeah.
simplifying it again, perhaps just takes that onus off us. If we're trying to work out in the bag of crisps if it's processed or not, or how bad it is, you know, it's a bag of crisps. It's probably not great for you. So
Yeah.
maybe have them, but maybe just don't have them every day.
Yeah.
Maybe that's actually how simple it is. We're trying to overcomplicate it again of getting the least bad option. And
Yeah.
actually, maybe we should just change our viewpoint on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never ate so simply. That's when I stopped eating them. Like before, I was like making all like the Slimming World meals, the fakeaways, all these different ingredients that you'd have to go and read all the backs of. Just have a steak and like a salad and some potatoes. Like just have some rice and like chicken and make a sauce with like tin tomatoes and herbs. Like you don't get a flavor sachet. Just get some like actual herbs, like fresh ones or dried, and just like simplify it. Yeah, I think again people just want like they want to be babied sometimes with it,